1. An old man and his wife are getting ready for bed one night when all of a sudden the old lady bursts out of the bathroom, flings open her robe, and yells, "Super pussy!" And the old man says, "I'll have the soup." 2. An old lady went to visit her dentist. When it was her turn, she sat in the chair, lowered her underpants, and raised her legs. The dentist said, "Excuse me, but I'm not a gynecologist." "I know," said the old lady. "I want you to take my husband's teeth out."
Boy, let's play the fire truck game. Girl, how do we play? Boy, I run my fingers up your leg and you say red light when you want me to stop. Girl, okay. Few seconds later, girl, red light, red light. Boy, fire trucks don't stop for red lights. A man named Bob hired a teenage boy named Mark to mow his lawn. One day, Mark had to pee, so he went inside Bob's house. Bob walked in on Mark and noticed how big Mark's penis was. Bob asked how Mark got his penis that big. Mark said, "Every night I'm about to sleep with a woman. I whack my dick on the bedpost 3 times." That night, Bob decided to try this on his wife. Bob hit his dick on the bedpost 3 times, and his wife said, "Mark, is that you?"
Bill walks into a bar and finds his friend Joe sitting on a stool. "Joe," Bill says, "I'm glad to see your wife finally let you out of the house." "Things have been different with my wife," Joe says. "In fact, just the other day, I decided to show her who was boss." "How did you do that?" asks Bill. "I simply said to her, 'Mabel, we are going to have it out right now, and I am going to show you who is the boss in this relationship.'" "What happened?" "Well, I don't want to brag, but I managed to get her on her hands and knees." "How did you do that?" "I was hiding under the bed at the time."
One day while on patrol, a police officer pulled over a car for speeding. He went up to the car and asked the driver to roll down her window. The first thing he noticed, besides the nice red sports car, was how hot the driver was. Blue eyes, blonde, the works. "I've pulled you over for speeding, ma'am. Could I see your driver's license?" "What's a license?" replied the blonde, instantly giving away the fact that she was as dumb as a stump. "It's usually in your wallet," replied the officer. After fumbling for a few minutes, the driver managed to find it. "Now, may I see your registration?" asked the cop. "Registration? What's that?" asked the blonde. "It's usually in your glove compartment," said the cop impatiently. After some more fumbling, she found the registration. "I'll be back in a minute," said the cop and walked back to his car. The officer called into the dispatch to run a check on a woman's license and registration. After a few moments, the dispatcher came back. Is this woman driving a red sports car?" "Yes," replied the officer. "Is she drop-dead gorgeous blonde?" asked the dispatcher. Yes," replied the cop. Here's what you do, said the dispatcher. Give her the stuff bag and drop your pants. What? I can't do that. It's inappropriate, exclaimed the cop. Trust me, just do it, said the dispatcher. So the cop goes back to the car, gives back the license and registration, and drops his pants, just as the dispatcher said. The blonde looks down and sighs. Oh no! Not another breathalyzer!
Two men were shipwrecked on an island. They decided to venture inland to see if they could find someone. The men came across a village in the middle of a jungle. Immediately, they were surrounded by a tribe of islanders. The chief walks to the men and says, "What do you choose, death or boogaloo?" The first man thinks for a second and replies, "I choose boogaloo." The chief smiles and the tribe begins to chant, "Boogaloo, boogaloo, boogaloo." The chief takes the man, bends him over, and fucks him. The second man is horrified at what he has just witnessed, and then the chief walks up to him and asks, "You must choose, death or boogaloo." The man thinks he would rather die than have boogaloo, so he replies, "I choose death." The tribe roars in ecstasy, and the chief yells, "Death by boogaloo!"